What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hands On channel. We're going to have a little fun in this video here today. We're going to talk about something controversial but fun, and at least for now, until we find out what their true intentions are. You know, if you've been following the news, you know that recently, in the past 6 months or so, the Pentagon has started releasing videos and information about UFOs. They're not calling them UFOs. I think they're calling them UAPs or something like that. But for sake of the video and keeping up with it, we're going to call them UFOs, unidentified flying objects. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're aliens from outer space, but it's something that we're unaware of. And, you know, I mean, there could be defense reasons that the military is suddenly looking into this. You know, I've heard stories over the years. I can't verify them, but if you listen to Coast AM or any of these other stories, there were some incidents in the past where they were fixing to test out like one of their Minutemen missiles or something, or just the launch capabilities of these different missile silos back in the Cold War, and suddenly UFOs would show up above these facilities, and suddenly their equipment wouldn't work correctly, everything would shut down, the power would shut down, all sorts of anomalies would happen. And I don't know, maybe all that stuff's made up. I don't know. I mean, people do like to embellish, and they do like to, you know, be the center of attention. So if they could come up with a story like that would get them 15 minutes of fame, you know, that's one of the reasons it's hard to believe some of the UFO stuff, is because, you know, people are, you know, they want their 15 minutes of fame. That's the nicest way I can say it. So anyhow, I've had my own little personal experience back in like '87. I experienced something that was definitely otherworldly, let's just put it that way. I don't know what it was, but it was a UFO, and several of my family members witnessed that with me. So that was pretty interesting. I don't know if they remember it like I do, but for me, being about 10 to 12 years old when I witnessed that, that was a pivotal moment in my life, you know, in my childhood. I started looking to the sky a lot more after that, you know, and if you're a biblical person, you know, it tells you in the end times, in the end days, look to the sky for signs. You know, the Lord will give you signs in the sky. So I don't know, maybe that's what it is. I have no idea. But anyways, that got me to thinking about it last night, and I wrote a little list here of 5 different possibilities of what these things are. And if you're a curious mind like myself, hopefully this will spark something in you, or maybe you'll come up with 5 more that I haven't thought of, and I'd love to hear them down in the comments. Or I also like to hear your own personal UFO experiences. Have you seen anything that was like, okay, this is definitely not a plane. Okay, this is not a weather balloon. The way it's moving, you know, like probably the best one I can recollect in recent years that got everyone's attention was the Phoenix event. I think that was back in the early 2000s, late 90s. But several lights flew over Phoenix, and a lot of people saw it. You know, it was a big deal. So you can probably go look that up on YouTube to check it out for more information. But anyways, so here's my 5 different possibilities of what they are. Number 1, UFOs are alien life forms visiting our planet for unknown reasons. I mean, maybe they're inquisitive as well, and, you know, we're like an ant farm to them. You know, they look at us, you know, because we're comparatively, if they can travel light speed, if they can travel, you know, across the universe and across the space and time, or whatever, however they're doing it to get here to visit us, or through wormholes or whatever, if that's the way they're doing it, then obviously they're far more technologically advanced than us. And perhaps to them, it's just sort of a, you know, a curiosity. They're like, okay, what are these crazy humans up to now? Are they killing each other? What are they doing? You know, are they dumping radioactive waste into the ocean? What are they doing this week? So I don't know. That is number 1. That's a possibility. They really are alien life forms from other planets. It could be. Number 2, UFOs are interdimensional objects or spacecraft that are visible to our eyes and camera equipment and or radar equipment, you know, whatever. All the different ways, the FLIR, all the different ways they can track these objects through the sky. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're interdimensional, and they actually, maybe we're just seeing like a glimmer of it, you know, and it's actually another dimension that's alongside, you know, they say there's multi-dimensions out there, so maybe there's another dimension that's just very close to ours somehow, and every great once in a while we see little glimmers of that. It doesn't even mean that that's actually a physical object. Maybe it's just light, you know. Maybe there's no explanation for it as far as You know, if you actually shot at one or something like that and tried to take one down, maybe there was nothing to shoot at in those cases, if it's interdimensional, or if it's somehow, you know, going through like a wormhole or something, and we're just seeing a little glimmer of that as it's passing through the wormhole. I don't know, but that's a possibility. And, you know, with some of this military stuff that we've seen, some of the video they have is astounding. Now, someone, I believe it was Chris Ann Hall and JC, they put a video up that debunked the triangular, the one the military just released that was like a triangular light that was flying through the sky, and they were tracking it. They were saying that actually, if you use a camera that has a triangular shutter, I believe it is, that it would, you know, at night with night vision and certain circumstances, somebody had actually reproduced it and made it to where anything you looked at in the sky, even an airplane, would look like that triangular shape, and it's because of the camera equipment. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it could be. It could be. And it would be odd to me that the military, knowing the way their equipment operates, would allow something like that to be put out as a potential UFO when it could easily be an equipment thing. So I don't know, you know, go watch that video on Chris Ann Hall where they talk about that. It's pretty interesting. And basically it was like a trick of the camera. So I don't know if that's what's going on or what. You know, number 3 here. UFOs are a man-made experimental air and spacecraft. Like similar to the SR-71 Blackbird. If you know your history, then you know that for years and years, I think since like the late 60s, I believe it was, when that SR-71 Blackbird was in full operation and no one knew about it. I mean, it was a super secretive military Pentagon type project, probably run by DARPA and all that. You know, it had all these names involved with it that were these top secret groups. I mean, is it possible that, you know, we've seen the dog robot, the cheetah robot, all these other robots that are like, you know, able to do backflips and stuff like that and kick your front door in and carry an AR-15, all the things that scare the crap out of me that make me think Terminator's just around the corner, you know? I don't know. Is Google Skynet? I don't know. But are they an experimental man-made aircraft? I think it's very possible. I mean, look at my example, the SR-71 Blackbird, and many, many other secrets that we've probably had in DARPA and these high, you know, the Skunk Works projects, all these other things that they do to hide these black projects. I mean, you know, is it possible? Yeah, it's probably pretty possible that they have, you know, craft that are capable of either electromagnetic or some sort of levitating effect. You know, there was examples on YouTube years ago, I don't know if they're still there or not, but there were examples of back in the 50s, I believe it was, the 40s or 50s. Our own government was experimenting with these saucer-looking craft that looked an awful lot like a flying saucer. So is it possible? Yes, it is. Maybe. How did they get that technology? Did they take a UFO down, or did they pick up, you know, the bodies at Roswell and take them back to the you know, the where is that, Area 51? Did they take them to Area 51 and question them and get all the information out of them and take their technology and reverse engineer it and turn it into smartphones and cell phones, and hell, this even this very camera that I'm talking to you guys on? I don't know, but it's very possible. So number 4, UFOs are man-made holograms or illusions meant to trick and or scare people into being easily controlled. And I would give you an example of HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. I can't remember, high frequency something. You know, it's basically the thing up in Alaska, and supposedly they have those all over the world. They're like antennas, and they're shooting these beams up. I don't know if it's laser beams or high frequency something. They're shooting it up into the sky, radio waves or something, and it essentially cooks the stratosphere and makes different things happen. I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly they say that they could make things form in the sky, i.e. spacecraft looking things. They, you know, maybe Jesus's face, maybe they can make it look like you know, a Christian cross up in the sky, or, you know, who knows what else. Maybe it'd be Buddha or something like that floating around up in the sky. They can probably, I don't know this confirmed, you know, but there are a lot of people that speculate that they can actually do that sort of thing. And not to mention the effects of what it can do to the weather and changing the, you know, the different jet streams and stuff like that up in the stratosphere. So who knows? Is that a possibility? Are these illusions? You know, I would also have you look into Project Bluebeam. I've heard a lot about that over the years. It's some sort of a beam project. In fact, the Russian spiral that we all saw, if you're into UFO stuff, you probably saw that, I don't know, 5-10 years ago now. I don't know, time goes by so fast now, but the spiral, and they claimed it was like a missile that had malfunctioned or something like that. But many people said that was actually Project Bluebeam. It was like a test run. The Russians or somebody had gotten a hold of their own version of Project Bluebeam and were able to essentially make that appear in the sky from the ground. So I don't know. Very well could be. And, you know, if this last year, you know, 2020 has proved anything to me and the people that I know, it is that the media and the government are totally willing to use fear to control the populace. So could they be doing this to scare the crap out of us and make us think, oh, Jesus is coming, you know, or whatever the thing may be? Are they doing this to trick us? And, you know, if you read Revelations, supposedly someone at the end comes along and tricks everybody and makes them believe that he is the, you know, the Messiah, and it turns out he's actually the Antichrist. So be real careful, guys. It's only your spiritual being for eternity that we're talking about here. Okay, number 5. UFOs are angelic or spiritual beings or spacecraft that those beings have used for transportation for eons. You know, the reason I think this one is a possible, you know, it's definitely highly possible, is if you look back at the ancient history of the Egyptians, let's say, or the Sumerians, or any other culture, the things that are down in Peru. I can't remember the name of the place, but there's several big monolithic places around the world, not just the pyramids, but several big structures that were like, it's questionable whether or not the people of those times would have had not only the knowledge, but the ability to create such structures. And it gives credence to the idea that gods or aliens or whatever you may want to call them, people with higher intelligence and higher sophistication and weaponry than the people that were on Earth at the time, and probably still holds true to today. You know, if they were visiting way back in the Egyptian times, and, you know, you've got all of these weird things that are present on the hieroglyphs. You know, several different paintings from the past have depicted UFO-looking spacecraft in the sky. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is, but it does not seem like a coincidence to me that several of these cultures, like if you look at the Egyptians, some of their hieroglyphs match up almost identically to some of the stuff that they find carved in the Mayan stones. I mean, how could that be? And, you know, some of the stuff that was just going on in the Mayan areas and such, you know, it's just mind-blowing. The gaps are so small you can't even put a piece of paper in them. And they say that even today, these big mega structures like down in Peru, that we would have a hard time reproducing that today, especially to that degree of accuracy. So I don't know. Maybe you'd argue they just had all the time in the world because they had nothing else going on like we do, but I don't think so. All throughout history, you know, people have had to survive first before they can have enough time for luxury things like making art. So, you know, I don't know. It's very fascinating. Did space beings come down and visit the Mayans and the Egyptians and control them and use them like, you know, slaves or whatever to do their own bidding? I don't know, but I think it's very possible. So guys, I think that's about enough of the X-Files for today, but I wanted to get your mind turning, you know. I don't know if any of these things that I've listed are actually what the UFOs are. I may be totally wrong, but I just wanted to throw out this hypothesis here to you guys, get your mind turning, see what you think. I'd love to hear your encounters. If you actually had a UFO encounter in the past or whatever, or yesterday or whatever, let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear them. And at least you have a degree of anonymity on YouTube, so you can come and tell us your stories that you wouldn't tell anybody else, because more than likely no one's going to see it except for people that come visit the Hands On channel. So I appreciate you tuning in and supporting the channel. Hopefully this was lighthearted enough and fun, just a little break from everything else that's going on in the world here. Don't be fooled though. If the UFOs come and they start telling you to worship them like Jesus, don't do it. It's a false profit. So be aware of that. You know, guard your soul and your spirit. Until then, guys, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.